'cause I'm such a junkie. Every day all I want is more. So entertain me right now. So entertain me right now.
Welcome to the Pop Culture Junkie podcast. I'm Olivia, and I'm here with...
I'm Shauna.
And we are sadly not together this time, looking longingly into each other's eyes.
No, I miss you.
We're back to an internet relationship. You know,
I know.
what feels wrong?
And then I asked Olivia, hey, when's the next time you're going to come to Phoenix and you can go swimming in my pool? We can hang out. She's, you live in Phoenix. It's going to be like 115, Shauna. I'm not fucking coming to Arizona anytime in the next 5 months. Oh.
To be fair, if you were paying the rent prices I was paying, you would be like, I agree with that line of thought.
You're like, I pay so much in rent, I can never leave my apartment ever.
No, it's like, if I'm going to pay to have really nice weather, I'm not going to go home during the worst weather.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I just need to come and visit you then. Oh,
Yes.
damn.
Oh, what a peril.
Twist my arm.
You should come when Jess and CK come, because they're coming.
To San Francisco?
Yeah, because CK's team is based here.
Those assholes don't tell me anything.
Well, she just told me, so.
I put me out on the podcast. Justin, you better text me right after you listen to this episode.
Or else.
Or else friendship over. Yes.
So what have you been up to
Oh,
since
gosh.
I left you, other than crying?
Oh, I've been crying deeply since I left you. And that's just about it. Just crying and masturbating and cheating. And just...
It always has to go there.
It does. Oh my God. If anyone's listening and I sound a little stuffy, it's because I am. But you know what? I'm a big girl and I'm going to work my way through it. The fans need a recording. So here we are.
There you go. That's dedication.
As I'm such a good podcast host. Oh my God. I went to San Diego and I stayed in a hostel for the first time ever. And
Ooh,
it was
how was that?
interesting. I don't know if I would ever do it again, but I'm glad that I did it and then I could cross it off my list. My two little roommates were so fun. One girl was like 22 and was in San Diego traveling for the first time by herself to a music festival. And the other lady was from Brazil and was hitting up the gay clubs every night. And they were both delightful. So I loved them. But I was also in downtown San Diego next to the nightclubs. And all night it was like, it's all my ladies, where you at? It's let me see your hand. And it was very loud. And I was thankful for my earplug. But no murders in my hostel, which I guess was cool, but like, I don't know. What they're expecting murder, nothing happened.
Rude of them.
Rude.
I've never stayed in a hostel either. I might change my mindset if I were like traveling abroad. But yeah, I feel like my time to stay in a hostel was under 30.
I'm 36 and I stayed in a hostel to save money. So
Yeah.
I think you could still do it too.
I think at this age, I'm just not meant to live in a comfortable life.
I love that. I did have that realization where I was like, I am accustomed to certain luxuries.
Like a full bed and a room to yourself.
It was a full-size bed. That was nice. And it had a little curtain. You'll appreciate this, though. When I first showed up, I knew it was going to be bunk beds. And I was prepared to ask them for a bottom bunk. But when I got in, they were like, okay, you're assigned bunk bed on the left, bottom. And I was like, oh, God. No more top bunks for me ever.
Yes. If you like get PTSD, like climbing off of it.
I know I saw the ladder and I was like, not today, Satan. My bones are going to be intact. Olivia's not here to witness me weeping.
Literally dying dog sounds. Happy to realize it was just your foot and not a dying dog. Huh?
Oh my God. I would break every bone in my body rather than be in a room with a dying dog.
Yeah.
At any
10
point
out of
ever.
10. Okay. 10 out of 10 agree. Well, speaking of death,
Oh God! I'm like, what have you been
no.
up to? Ziggy's fine, right? Ziggy's fine. Oh my God!
Ziggy's doing amazing.
You
No,
show
I
me his
went
face
to
right now, you bitch.
I went on a little day trip on Saturday.
I
I
thought you were
went to Marshall, California, which is like where all of the oyster farms are in the Bay Area, which I freaking love an oyster so much.
Dang.
So
Oh my God!
it was great, but we went the coastal route to get there and stopped, and we were on the coast, like looking at the rocks. It was very like Big Little Lies. I wasn't wearing a cardigan, unfortunately, so I couldn't
What?
channel Nicole Kidman
You always wear
in the moment.
cardigan.
Yeah, I know. I needed like a really big one. It was like a full wrap, like teacher
Mhm.
wrap almost.
Yeah.
I needed that. But I'm going tomorrow I'm going to Tiburon, which is I'm taking the ferry there and going to
Ooh.
have caviar and champagne.
Stop.
Amazing.
Stop having fun without me.
I think you say after you
Oh.
just went on multiple trips.
I know, but I didn't need champagne.
Yeah, well,
champagne.
you don't need
I didn't
champagne.
need champagne and drink caviar.
Yeah, so I'm
Oh, no,
excited about
sounds
that.
great. That sounds very cool.
And then I'm also going to be channeling my inner season 1 of the OC. I'm going to an ocean bonfire on Sunday
Oh my
on
God.
Ocean Beach.
Aw, I love a good ocean fire.
It's going to be cold as
Yes. Are you gonna punch someone in the face saying, "Welcome to the OC, bitch"? Except for
Maybe.
San Francisco, bitch.
it's Ocean Beach, so maybe welcome to the OB, bitch.
Do it.
But yeah, so I have quite a little lovely Memorial Day weekend planned. I was
Nice.
violently hungover. I had a 3-day hangover this week. So I was like, okay, I need something that isn't going to be going absolutely feral.
Or feral, you're gonna get drunk.
I probably, but like I was bad.
I know. You were responding to my text, and I sent her one, and I was like, "You hate me. It's fine. Don't worry about it." And she's like, "I'm so sorry. I've just been vomiting."
On the 3rd day, I woke up and threw up, and I hadn't thrown up the entire 3 days. And I was like, how did that even happen? Yeah, it wasn't very fun.
Expelling
but
the demons from your body. Don't drink too much, listener.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
bad for
yeah.
you.
especially if you're over the age of 30, it hurts too bad. It hurts too bad.
Too bad. I know. I'm going Salt River tubing on Saturday, and I'm kind of nervous.
Oh, you're gonna get so burnt.
Last time I did really good because I just smothered myself in sunscreen.
Mm.
But well,
If you're not from Arizona, you can get literal 2nd and 3rd degree burns if you're not careful on this river float because it's so incredibly hot
it's
and
so
just
hot.
crazy UV.
But you get to see like wild horses run through the river, and then you get to see a lot of drunk like frat boys, like yes, girl. So it's like the juxtaposition of nature and nurture. And
Yeah, there you go.
it might be a Buffy prom. All right, we should probably do our podcast because I know you and I
Yeah.
could just catch up forever. But
Just so our most awaited film this year, I think between the two of us, we even talked about flying to each other to see this movie. Maybe we'll circle back on those plans. Is
yes.
the 28 Years Later movie.
28
And this is
years later.
Oh, what did I say?
20 years later. 20 years later.
SpongeBob and zombies combined.
Amazing.
So 28 Years Later comes out June 20th in theaters. And we've been so excited about it. If you listen to our What Are We Excited About at the top of this year, this was on both of our lists really, really high. And I think that we both have such a deep love for the 28 Days universe. I don't know what to call it. I almost called it the 28 universe, but that feels
Kinda.
wrong.
The 28,
Yeah.
the 28,
28
birds.
calendar
But
verse.
then you have to throw in that Sandra Bullock movie where she's in rehab for 28 days. What is
I
that
don't know
one
if I've
called?
seen that.
Oh, God. I'm going to
Not
think of it.
28 days later.
That one's called 28 Days.
Oh, okay. There we go.
For
It was
that one
missing
of
the
those
later.
two.
Sandy's in the apocalypse.
She's supposed to be in rehab. It's fine.
So we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to hop into the lore. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we're both obsessed with 28 days and 28 weeks later. I think I've long said 28 days and 28 weeks is a really good example of where a sequel is actually better than the original one, in my opinion. Controversial, I know, but I really wanted to dive into the impact that this movie had on zombie horror in general, and really just the things that we need to remember as we head into the 28 years movie. So, Shauna, tell me the first time you ever saw this movie.
Oh my God. Okay. 28 days later, I think I saw for the first time in college, I guess. It must have been with my ex-boyfriend. Yeah. And I'd only seen really bits and pieces of it over and over and over again that makes up the entire movie. And then I know, isn't that crazy? And then I'd seen the second one multiple times, but the first one I'd only seen in chunks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it's so hard to find it streaming anywhere until recently. Like, I've tried to find it in its entirety for years now online, and it wasn't anywhere until they announced that they were making the third one, and now finally, of course, fine. So
Like you couldn't even rent it, or it just wasn't available?
it
for
wasn't
streaming?
anywhere. Like, you couldn't
Oh,
even
weird.
rent it. And so I rented it last week and did a rewatch all the way through. And there was a lot that I had forgotten because I hadn't seen it in so long. And then the second one I also watched, I think, when it first came out. I wasn't a huge fan of horror movies when I was
You were in your Puritan Christian era.
yeah, honestly, yeah. When I was like a teenager, I wasn't into horror movies and I was very squeamish. And now not a lot really makes me feel yucky unless it's like torture porn, like the Hostel movies. Hey,
Good
or
timing.
good time. Or like the Terrifier movies. I don't fuck with those. But every other horror movie, I'm fine. And I can, I don't have a weak stomach. So yeah, I was a little late on these, but I
Okay.
love zombie movies. I love the end of the world apocalypse. I think I've talked about that in the podcast before.
Yes. I think that when you look at 28 Days Later and the kind of series as a whole, it was such a unique film at the time, specifically because a lot of the zombies that we saw at like pre this movie were very slow, right? They were the
Yeah.
dead come to life. Rather than within this movie, it's actually not dead people coming back to life. It is what they call the rage virus. And it's not like your typical zombie, it kills you and then you resurrect like in The Walking Dead.
Mhm.
It actually is kind of like a form of rabies
Yeah.
that happens. And it makes them ultimately like super aggressive. And it's a 20-second infection time, which
It's so
crazy.
fast. I totally forgot that bit. Like when, okay, I guess this goes without saying, but we're going to spoil 28 Days Later, which came out
and
20,
weeks.
20, yeah, they came out like 20 some odd years ago. So get over it. But when, gosh, I forgot Frank, I think, like the guy, the older man who he's traveling with, when he gets that blood drop in his eye.
Oh, yes, the crow. It's, yeah,
Yes.
Frank,
Oh, which is
Brandon
just
Gleeson.
the worst, just serendipitous, just lands perfectly in his eyeball, right? And immediately he knows he's going to turn. And yeah, he has like 20 to 30 seconds to just basically tell his daughter, hey, remember, I love you, honey. And then zombie. And it's like, oh shit, that was so.
Yeah, it's ultimately like really, really crazy. I mean, this movie came out in 2002. When I was rewatching it, I was just thinking about how it's like a British lab in Cambridge where scientists were experimenting with trying to isolate the part of the brain that causes anger and create
Yeah,
like
and
a solution to
monkeys.
that, like uncontrollable anger. And they ended up pairing this virus with Ebola, like as the carrier for it, and it mutates into these chimpanzees and they go crazy. But then PETA comes in and frees these monkeys. It's such a commentary on like now to be like, oh, they made it in a lab and it ended the world. I just thought it was extra relevant to like what we just went through in 2020.
It is super relevant. I'm reading a book right now, actually, kind of about the zombie apocalypse. But it is the SARS-CoV virus mutated with sexual rage. So it's horny zombies. Yeah, it's a very interesting book.
What's the name of it?
American Rapture by C.J. Lead.
Okay.
And it's from the perspective of a very Catholic 16-year-old girl who is very sheltered her whole life.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's fascinating, but it is interesting when you set these zombie films kind of in the reality of what we've dealt with recently, you know? So it's like the Ebola virus. We were all like, oh God, in 2002. I want to know from your perspective, do you have a preference when it comes to zombie films? Do you like it more when it's a virus, or do you like it when the dead come back to life kind of thing? Because we've seen a lot of both in popular culture.
Yes, I think that virus is more interesting because I do think that it's something that could exist in like real life, right?
Yeah.
Like a virus like wipes out the human population. That could totally happen.
Mhm.
So I do think that's interesting. One thing, when COVID happened, I love all types of infection movies, like
Me
Contagion.
too. I love
So
Contagion.
good.
Oh my God. I'm going to watch that.
I watched an insane amount of zombie movies like Contagion whenever 2020 happened. So I really do think that that's super interesting. And a lot of the time, like, even if you look at the happenings, like the plants evolving, but like nature fighting back, I think it's such an interesting
the myth
theme to explore.
I mean, I guess that's kind of
the happening, not the mist. But you probably haven't seen that because you don't like M. Night Shyamalan.
No, I love The Mist.
No, not the mist. The happening.
Oh, The Happening is stupid, but that's the Mark Wahlberg one where she's like, you stuck into my bedroom so you could touch
I
my
see you eyeing my lemon drink. Yeah.
And he's like, what? No. Andrew and I quote that probably on a weekly basis. What? No.
So that is a M. Night Shyamalan movie that Andrew will watch.
No, he hates it. He hates it.
But he watched it.
He's seen it and he hates it.
And I think the most important part of why these zombies are so god dang scary is they can run so fast. Like
Zombies are terrifying. You're slow, lumbering. I just crawled out from the dead in the grave and like my arm is falling off. Zombies, I can take you down, right? Like maybe I'll get overpowered if there's 1,000 of you, but like I got you. If you're an athletic zombie who is, I don't know, has a virus
Usain
in
Bolt
you,
over there, crazy.
Then no, I'm fucked. Especially because I don't know. I feel like with those zombies too, they retain their human-like characteristics. Like in this movie, they look like humans, just their eyes change colors and they get all feral and shit. But you know, if somebody's face is falling off, then I'm a little more like, oh, you're a zombie. I can kill you easily. You don't, you know, you lose that like human-like quality that makes you feel guilty about killing someone.
Yeah, I think the only other faster zombie that has been seen in cinema are the World War Z zombies.
I was just about to say the World War Z zombies were stupid. They were too fast. They built like a zombie pyramid.
It's so unfortunate because World War Z, the book, is so good. And read the book. It's amazing. And it's like anthology that they're making of all these different stories who lived through World War Z. So very, very good. This movie was actually Daddy Number One, Cillian Murphy's breakout role.
Yes. I can't believe he showed his dick in his breakout role. That's bold.
Yeah.
Bold. Would have been 2 minutes of him on screen. You see his dick and balls.
Yeah, and ultimately we see a nod to this opening scene. So Cillian Murphy is the main character that we follow through the film, and he wakes up from a coma. So think very like Walking Dead.
I was just going to say, The
with
Walking
Rick.
Dead took so much inspiration from this, obviously.
Yeah,
With
yeah,
Rick waking up
absolutely.
in the hospital.
And it is such like a powerful plot device, right? Like the world
Mhm.
was something when you went to sleep, and then when you woke up, it was completely destroyed.
Yeah.
The cast that we see is really pretty small throughout. We have the main evil guy is the military, which is kind of a theme throughout.
Yeah.
The prior power structures no longer work within this world. And it's very, very interesting. We see a lot of malice through reason, I guess is the best way to say
Yeah.
it, where it's like you stop to see people as people.
I feel like that is a common theme in zombie movies is obviously the zombies are the big overarching threat, but also the threat is just humanity and what we do in our most vulnerable and depraved moments. So even in The Walking Dead, in the most recent seasons towards the end, the zombies were whatever, right? These guys are so good at killing zombies. The real enemy is like what people will do to each other, which is really what it got to at the end of this movie. And I had forgotten that plot point. And then once they got to that military zone, it becomes clear very quickly that there's something going on,
Good.
right? And
Yeah.
you realize they're all men. And then they keep saying over the radio, oh, the cure is here, the salvation is here. And you're like, okay, they want to repopulate the earth. Like they're going to try to assault the women for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so common in zombie movies, but I like it. It talks to like our more deeper feral instincts and what humankind destroys itself, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you see that throughout zombie films. It's always the people who try to maintain control that have the worst ends in a world that all control has been lost. So it's very interesting. It's like a common plot device. It's directed by Danny Boyle. It's shot in a really unique way for the time as well. It's shot on a Canon XL1, and it has this kind of not found footage, but you feel like you're there with them.
Yeah. When I first rented it a couple days ago, like I paid money for it. And I said, why is this potato quality? Like, why does this look like ass? And then as it went on, I was like, oh, I feel like it's supposed to kind of look like ass.
It is from 2002, but yeah, it
that's
is.
true. And I was like, I feel like that's what they're going for here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's written by Alex Garland, and really just a great film. And it really revived the zombie horror interest and made it really, really interesting. Now, like I said before, 28 Weeks Later is actually my favorite of the two. It is more readily available to watch.
Yeah,
on
that one
things,
was just kind of easy to find. I don't think I had to
frequently.
pay for that one.
Yeah, and in this one we have Robert Carlyle, Rose Byrne, Jeremy Renner,
Yeah.
and we have Harold Perrineau. So there are people in it.
Okay. Robert Carlyle, who I love from Once Upon a Time, he plays Rumpelstiltskin.
He's forever Rumpelstiltskin.
Every time I see him, oh, look, it's Rumpelstiltskin. Rose Byrne is wonderful. Jeremy Renner is Hawkeye, a.k.a. Hot Guy. Hi, Nicole, what's up? And Harold Perrineau, who's a great guy.
Yes, and then of course we have Daddy Idris Elba in it as like head military guy, I guess.
There's always a head military guy.
So 28 Weeks Later is, as you can imagine, 28 weeks after the initial zombie apocalypse that breaks out within London.
Yes.
I guess the UK as a whole, the island itself, it does go from Cambridge to London to Scotland and all those surrounding areas.
And then they say it spreads worldwide. I think they mentioned the first one that there was outbreaks in New York, and they mentioned like in other countries. I think it's going worldwide, right?
Yeah. So in the movies itself, the NATO and US military come to London to help them resettle the UK itself. So at the time, I don't think that it was as big of a thing within the US. So they were trying to keep it out.
You're right. Okay. Yeah. Because
But it
they
did
definitely,
spread
like,
to the rest of the
contained
UK.
it. Okay.
Yes. Yes. And so the plot is that the US military comes in, because of course they do. They can't help themselves. Yeah. And they are trying to rebuild London. The
That's right.
disease itself is said to, at this 28 weeks later, most of the zombies that were in the initial outbreak have starved out.
And it kind of
And
shows that at the end of 28 days later, they do like an overarching shot and it's them kind of like not disintegrating, but kind of dying on the ground. So you're like, oh, they're obviously starving. But I
yeah,
hope
and
a
so
couple
you
of children don't come and fuck it all up.
yeah, so you come into 28 weeks later, like, okay, all the zombies died out or whatever, starved to death, I guess, because they're not actually dead. And so they ultimately aren't that big of an issue. There's still some lingering ones because not everyone got infected at the same time, but it's largely like a neutralized threat. And they're
Yeah.
starting to build the city infrastructure again.
Yes.
And so Robert Carlyle, who's Don in it, we meet him in the opening scene and he is a survivor and his children were not in the UK. So they are
Yes.
coming back to live with him, Andy and Tammy. And they know that their mother is dead, I guess. Not actually dead, but they know that she's gone. They think that she was attacked by a horde of zombies. In the opening scene, we see Don abandon his wife.
Oh, that's, yeah. He definitely
Yes.
abandons her.
In the countryside, zombies overtake the house and he leaves her there to get like eaten by the zombie.
You see her in the window and she's like, ah!
She's like, help me. And he
Yeah.
runs away. And so the kids don't know that that happened because, of course, you wouldn't tell your children,
No.
hey, ditched your mom. They
Yeah.
say that he sees her die, right?
Mhm.
And so the kids come in, they're in this military zone and they want to go back to their house and look for a picture of their mother. And they find their mother there
Stupid
in this
kids.
house.
These
Yeah.
kids. I remember watching this movie and just being like, of course, it was children who restarted.
This is why I don't want
apocalypse.
to.
This is why I will never reproduce. The children restarted the apocalypse.
Yes. And so this one's super interesting because the disease is largely like died out or whatever. We
Yeah.
don't know if animals can contain the virus and carry the virus. They don't get infected. But this movie introduces a carrier. So
Mhm.
people who've been infected but don't actually get the rage virus.
Yes, that's
And
right.
so the mother that he abandoned actually has that and ends up surviving. And the US military, instead of immediately killing her, they want to do tests on her to see, can we create an antidote? And then Dirty Don ruins everything. I feel like it's like the kid goes in and so he gets infected and the outbreak comes again. And so he kisses her and immediately
Don't-
gets infected.
Yeah. Duh. Come on, bro.
Yeah. And so this one is quite interesting. I think it's just larger and at scale.
Yes.
When you're in 28 days later, you don't really see like the moment of outbreak, but you see it within 28 weeks later and just like how quickly everything goes to shit in that moment.
Yeah, it is a larger scale because you're there with Jeremy Renner, who's part of the American military, who's trying to help control it. Rose Byrne's character works for the military too, or the government.
She's like a
capacity.
doctor. She's the one
Yeah.
who wants to make the antidote.
Yeah, and so it's definitely like we're 28 days with some more like personal story, which I like. It's like each movie gets a little bigger, which is, you know, what I'm expecting for the third one as well.
Yeah,
Like the more
absolutely.
time that passes, the bigger the scale gets.
Yeah, and Idris Elba, he has a really good monologue within this movie where he is talking about like the needs of the many overrule the needs of a few.
Yeah.
And if we can save the world by this, we can kill everyone in here. And they're
Yeah.
making that moral argument ultimately. So it's not
Do
just like,
bomb all of England in order to save the world kind of thing. right?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And so we follow these kids through the story. Obviously, Don dies because he's patient zero again.
Because he's dumb.
But Dirty Don, Patient
Dirty
Zero.
Don.
I think if you've never seen these movies, they are so amazing and really gritty and have such a good moral thought to them as well. And
I
just
agree.
great gore as well.
Yeah,
Great
it's
zombies.
Great horror, and it's gory, but not like over the top.
Gratuitous gore.
Gratuitous gore, just the right amount. It really keeps it more grounded and like visceral. So, yeah, good movies all around.
Yeah, and you are a comic book person more than me. Did you ever read the comic books?
I didn't. I honestly didn't know there were comic books, but it makes sense. I feel like there's a lot of comic books for these kind of series movies, especially to fill in gaps for things.
Yep.
What happened off screen, what happened when we weren't paying attention or couldn't see what was going on. So I think it'd be really interesting to read them. I'm
Yeah,
just reading
there's
some of the
24
plot points that
issues.
you put in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So Selena from 28 Days Later, hired by American journalists trying to document the outbreak, and she goes back into the infected zones. And you really just explore
Mhm.
what this would do to the different characters in a deeper way.
Yeah.
You can't hear someone's internal monologue, but in a comic you could.
Absolutely. Explore their PTSD and just kind of like the feelings that they're going through losing all of their family. Oh my God, I definitely cried during my rewatch when Jim walks in and finds his parents in bed, like holding each other, and they have that note that's like, we went to sleep. And so we hope to see you were asleep, so we went to sleep too, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And then it just says, don't wake up. Oh my God. He woke up and just found his parents dead.
Yeah, rough.
Yeah,
Rough.
so emotional, and
And
I'm sure the comic book dives even more into that.
yeah, and the comic book is actually where the infection isn't confined to the UK, enters the canon. And so it hits
Uh,
a global pandemic scale and
okay.
escapes. Yes.
Interesting.
So now that we kind of know what the canon says about the first two movies, the comic book, we're going to take a quick break and hop into what we know so far about 28 years later and what we hope to see. Okay, so 28 years later, I don't know about you, but when I watched the trailer, I got like full body chills. I think I screamed out loud the first day that it was announced about this movie finally coming out.
Yes, I am so excited. And I remember the first reactions from the trailer. Everyone thought that zombie was Cillian Murphy because it looks just like him. And then eventually it came out, no, that is an entire other actor. That is not him in the slightest. But
He's like, you
hopefully,
think I look like dead Cillian Murphy? Thank
yeah.
you.
Oh my God, amazing.
Those are
Hopefully,
great cheekbones.
yeah. Oh, amazing cheekbones. But hopefully Cillian Murphy does return as Jim. We do know that he's coming back as executive producer. And last we saw Jim, he's alive. So it would make me happy to see him and Selena still together and still fighting zombies after all these years.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting for him to live. It does feel a little hokey for him to survive that long.
Yeah.
But who knows, just given the harshness of that world. But I'm all here for it because I want Cillian Murphy back.
'Cause I just want to see him again. I don't care if he's like, I had to hunker down in a shelter for the last 28 years. I haven't seen sunlight. Like, I want to see him again.
Yeah. Like a real quiet place. Cillian Murphy,
Yeah.
Quiet Place 2.
And I hope he shows his dick and balls again, just for old
Yeah.
time's sake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Breakout.
Just whip it
Breakout
out.
post Oscar. Did he win an Oscar?
Yeah.
No.
Right.
I don't know. That's a boy movie.
Post award season. Let's see the Twig and Berries post award season.
Yeah. So if you watch the trailer, it really has this kind of like cult religious aspect to it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there are a few of them out, but it really does seem like the people who have survived by this time, who do you have to become and what beliefs do you have to have in order
Right,
to like live
28
that life?
Yeah, 28 years into the apocalypse, you've had to have done some shit to get this long. Or there's babies that have been born who never knew a world before this, kind of like in The Last of Us, like Bella Ramsey's Ellie doesn't even know a world outside of the apocalypse. So I'm sure we'll have some of that too. Why people are reproducing in the apocalypse, I don't know. Come on, guys. Pull out.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess, but you know, it's only so effective there, but
That's true.
yeah. Yeah,
That's true.
like just having a baby, like a crying baby.
Yeah, that just sounds awful. Like you already mentioned this, the Quiet Place where she has the
Ugh,
baby. Oh
yeah.
my God, girl, come on.
Yeah, you'd have to be next to a waterfall all
You
day, every
don't
day.
listen, just live under that waterfall. No, but I'm really
Yes.
am excited to see how everyone's survived over the last 28 years, what society and civilization looks like now.
Yeah, and the cast is stacked. We have Jack O'Connell, who was just in Sinners. We have Ray
Yeah.
Fiennes, who we were correct. He got confirmed for the Hunger Games.
We were right
Uh,
about so many of them, by the way.
yes,
So many
you're
of them.
welcome.
You're
You're
welcome, guy. Pop culture junkie told you burn.
But then we have Daddy number 3, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Oh my God, he's in this? How did I forget that?
Yeah.
Oh, he's so
Yes.
fine.
And Mommy number 1, Jodie Comer. Ugh.
Who?
What?
Jodie Comer?
Have you ever seen Killing Eve?
Oh, I've seen her before. Oh yeah, she's cool. Okay. I'm not sure she's mama
What?
number 1.
You shut your whore mouth.
Like, I
You
thought you were
shut your
gonna say
whore mouth.
Gaga.
No. Okay, first of all, it's Mommy number 1 for this series.
Okay, not all mothers of all time.
Yeah. Keep up.
Rose Byrne's kind of mother too, though.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Jodie Comer, watch Killing Eve, and I think
Okay.
you'll get it.
I will report
I
back.
think you'll get it. Yeah, it's good. It's good stuff. And we have director Danny Boyle returning, and
Love
then Danny Boyle and Alex Garland really spearheading the movie, just like we had in 28 Days Later.
Yes, I think it's great to bring back those original directors. Like they were there from the onslaught and know the vision. I love that.
Yeah, and going into it again, the comic book canon isn't movie canon, so
Okay,
really
so it's not
what
canon.
well, no, I guess like it hasn't been introduced to the movies, I guess
Okay.
is the best way to say that. Yeah, you're right. So really speculation about what we might see within this is, are we going to see the infection hit mainland Europe or America?
Yeah.
Has the virus evolved? Are there now variants or long-term infected
I
that can
think-
survive longer?
Yeah, if it's been 28 years, it had to have spread to other countries, especially after we saw in 28 weeks later how bad they were at containing this thing. Like, it took some dumbass dad and his 2 stinky kids to, like, it totally
Ruin it,
reintroduce-
yeah.
So if it doesn't spread to the rest of the world, I will be disappointed.
Yeah, I think we could see that within it. And then ultimately, just like we mentioned, the religious aspect of it, the
Yeah.
kind of cultism, the small communities and
Yeah.
outside people are bad. And what does that do over such a prolonged period of time? I think it's going to be a really, really interesting world. Also, post pandemic,
Yeah.
how are we going to make a commentary on that? It's been 17 years since the first ones came out. How
That
are
is
they going to
interesting.
evolve it?
Now that the closest thing that any of us have in our timelines of quote unquote like sick apocalypse or a zombie illness flu thing is COVID, like will any of that kind of symbolism work its way in?
Yeah,
I put on
I
a
mean, I
mask
think it has
today
to.
I put on a mask today for the first time in years, and I was like, flashbacks.
Also in
God.
the summer, oh, that's the worst.
A mask in the summer. Ugh.
In Arizona, yeah, ew,
Yeah, just sweaty.
ouch, just
were all
sweaty, wet
mask,
mask.
acne. Yeah.
Yeah,
What is time to be alive? It's
yeah. I really hope that we see Daddy Cillian Murphy make a comeback. And really, if you look at the summary on IMDb, it's a group of survivors of the rage virus live on a small island. One of the group member leaves that island to try to go to the mainland, and they go on a crazy journey. And
Chaos
so I think
ensues.
that's really going to be an interesting one of like the outsider in that argument. Like,
yeah.
so I'm just overall so excited. We know we're
I
going to
know,
get
I
some
am
amazing zombie
too.
scenes.
I
as
hope
well.
it's really good. I hope it does well, and I hope it has a good Rotten Tomatoes score and is everything that you and I have been hoping that it'll be.
I feel like they made 2 bangers.
Yeah.
They can't mess this one up. I'm not like,
No,
you
I
know?
agree. I think it's going to be incredible. And I also think the budget is so much higher now with special effects and things. And it's going to look incredible and horrifying. Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I wish
Yeah.
we could watch it together.
we'll have to FaceTime each other in a movie theater,
Right? Here I am. That won't be annoying in the slightest.
like in Scary Movie. It's just like,
Right.
oh, no, I'm a Shakespeare love.
who just get murdered in the front of the theater.
Yeah.
This is my podcast host. We're podcast hosts.
We're podcasting, okay?
We
We're live
have to do
streaming.
this. We have to do this.
Quick, Galaxy. Yeah, no.
When does 28 Years Later come out, Olivia?
So you can expect 28 Years Later to come out on June 20th. We'd love to know your thoughts once the movie comes out. And which is your favorite of the two movies that we have today?
Ooh, I have a
28
fun
days or
fact
28 weeks?
too
What?
about
Yeah.
28 Years Later. It was shot on an iPhone 15 Pro Max in order to
wow.
make a callback to the original 28 Days Later, which was partially filmed on a handheld recorder. So
wow.
that's kind of cool. I don't know if the entire thing is going to be filmed
Yeah,
on an iPhone, but
that feels hard. Maybe it's when the kids are like running. And
yeah,
yeah,
but
I could see that.
interesting. I like that.
Wow. Who said we needed new updated cameras?
Yeah,
They're
come
too good
on.
now.
Get a camcorder.
They're good enough for 28 weeks later. They're good enough for me. Now it's time for us to go prepare for the upcoming apocalypse. Get our go bags ready. Whatever one does in a zombie apocalypse to try to survive. I don't think that's my route. Shauna, where can our listeners, undead or live, find you on socials?
You can find me, Shauna Trinidad, on Instagram and Threads at Shauna Trinidad, ShaunatRinidad.
And you can find me, Olivia, on Instagram at Livy Maries, LIVIMARIEZ. And you can find the podcast online. Go to our website, popculturejunkie.com. From there, you can find our podcast on all platforms, as well as our social media links, blog posts, and more. You can contact us, join our Pop Culture Junkie support group, follow, subscribe, rate, and review the show, all that and more. If you were personally victimized by Shauna's selling of farts, you can send your complaints there. And as we mentioned earlier, we would love if you would join our Patreon because every subscription helps us bring you more great episodes like this one. Find us at patreon.com/popculturejunkiepodcast. Sign up for a sneak peek or get a super special shout out from us and come back next week for another hit of pop culture.
The Pop Culture Junkie podcast is produced by Jeff Markin and Cheryl Lightfoot for the Pop Culture Entertainment Network.
So entertain me.